Are you really?
I fucking Joe Biden to you.
Oh, sorry.
It's all a bunch of shit for me.
Hold on.
We're good. It's all right.
I'm just waiting for the intro music. Don't wait. Don't worry about me. Apparently, it's not going to go. So, welcome back. Fantastic episode of the Forever Broken podcast. Like, if Donald Duck's always naked, why in the hell does he wrap a towel around his waist when he gets out of the shower? And I am Derek Thompson. With me, as always, is TJ Davidson. And with us today, our very special guest, Big Shoots Doc Medley.
What's up? Appreciate you guys.
All right, so we'll go ahead. We'll let Doc. We'll let you introduce yourself. You can give us as much or as little as you want, man.
Yeah. So my name's Justin Medley. Good friends with TJ. I know TJ from Camp Lejeune. Spent a lot of time together. A lot of 30 racks went through.
A lot of good times.
A lot of good times. I'm from Tennessee originally. I joined the Navy as a corpsman. Ended up 2nd Marine Division. Liked that shit. Didn't want to leave it. I did a couple combat tours to Afghanistan with Marine infantry units, and that kind of shaped me into who I became. All fucked up and broken and weird, but that's why me and old Pepper are friends. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. If you name it, I was that guy, especially in the military. Like whether it was getting divorced, getting NJP'd, just Jody got my girl every fucking time.
Hey, you and me, brother. You and me both.
The shoes have unfortunately been on other feet too, so I've been a scumbag too. So, but just anything you can think of, I've done it. Like the first party I went to with TJ up in Havelock, him and what ended up being my cousin-in-law. One was playing the guitar and TJ was singing, and they knew this just a little bit about my life. I just came home from Marja. I was part of the fourth wave in the invasion of Marja, and my wife left me. This big sad shit, and he just off the top of his head starts singing this country ass song about how my wife left me and I have nothing, took all my fucking money, and was banging some dude that cut grass. Like it was. I was like, if you weren't so fucking big, like I'd beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, if you weren't such a big redneck, I would.
Yeah.
I would fight. I'd throw hands with you.
Sloth from the Goonies.
That was a good time.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I look forward to this episode just because I get to hear all you guys' stories, and that should be a blast and a hoot and handy for me.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, dive right on in, man. Ask
Oh,
TJ what his
hell.
favorite. Do what?
Oh hell! What's TJ's
Yeah.
favorite what?
You can ask TJ what his favorite Doc story is, and I'll give you my favorite TJ story.
All right, well, that's a good plan. I like that. What TJ? Let's hear it.
Jesus. All right, there's a fuck. There's a lot of those. Probably whenever we got kicked out of the fucking yacht club in Swansboro, North Carolina, and
Just redneck.
these dudes followed us into the parking lot trying to fight us or whatever, and so a bunch of shit happened, blah blah, and then these guys ended
Dude
up
chases
leaving.
me. Don't forget, dude chases me around this parking lot with a fucking framing hammer.
Oh yeah, I did forget about that. Yeah, he chased him with a fucking hammer. So then they get in their truck and they haul us out of there. So Doc chases them down like on foot, wearing goddamn flip flops. Like he runs out of his flip flops, and he like jumps on the fucking bed of this truck, grabbing the tailgate or whatever, and then ends up having to like bail off and roll down the fucking ditch for a little bit.
Those are called what? Chonkas?
Yeah, well, I figured
Chonkas?
I
What
was
are they
like-
in Spanish?
I was like,
To chunkless, yeah.
yeah,
Chokers, yeah, you
I
were
ran
trying
up
to
out of my
flap 'em.
flip flops and I jumped on the tailgate, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I gonna do when we get to where we're going?
Yeah, just
I like
him
that-
and like these fucking 8 dudes.
Get my ass
Yeah.
kicked with no shoes on? No.
I like that you're getting chased
not
by a
happening.
guy with a. You're getting chased by a guy with a hammer. You got flip flops.
Well, fucking.
Oh,
then TJ
shit.
comes out. TJ comes out and this big steroided up fucking bouncer. He was a fucking. I call him an extra for second recon. He was he was a comm guy for second recon, and he thought he was this big fucking this badass motherfucker, but he was clearly on a shit ton of steroids. He had pimples and shit all over him, like it was
Looking like
dead
John
giveaway.
Cena.
He
If you
fucking
guys haven't-
he grabbed TJ. He
If
grabbed
you guys
TJ.
haven't
TJ
figured
looked at
out,
him
this
and
is
goes,
going to be an expletive episode.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Anytime you have me around, like I'm not suitable for children of all ages.
So be suitable for all ages, but we do have some serious stuff to talk about tonight as well. So
Yeah, we'll get
while
to
we're
it.
finishing this, I just wanted it to be known that there is serious stuff coming.
So TJ snatches this dude up and slams him against the wall, and he's all like, "Listen here, I don't go around playing peekaboo and touching you and shit. Leave me the fuck alone. Don't grab me." And he took his shirt off as soon as he saw that dude chasing me around with that damn hammer. And TJ took his shirt off, and I'm running through this gravel parking lot, and I look over, and I'm thinking, I said out loud, I go, "Oh shit, y'all, oh fuck, Pepper done took his shirt off. He's going full retard on you now." And he come through there just like a fucking tornado, just started snatching dudes up, bouncing them off cars.
You would.
All I had to do was be fast enough to just swing him around. He's gonna catch him on turn 3 any fucking ways.
I feel like this is incidentally your favorite Peppa story as well. Jeez.
Oh no, I've got probably the first night we ever really like hung out. We stayed up all night till like 6 in the morning. We were in Havelock, and there was this golf course behind the house.
This is
And
Deb's house,
Pepper-
by the way.
Deb's house.
Oh, God.
And so Pepper was like, "Well, you're the only one awake, Doc." He goes, "And I'm not drinking all this beer by myself." And I was like, "Well, you're off to a good start. You know, you've almost got her licked, buddy. Keep going." And I had just bought like a Malibu, like one of the nicer new Malibus, like 2-tone leather and all that shit, super nice. And he goes, "Let's take a trip down this road." And we go down the road, and he's like, hanging out. He's thinking about jumping in this person's pool, and I'm like, "No, better not." And then we see the road to the golf cart lane to this fucking golf course. And he goes, "Hang a hard right, Doc." And I said, "Fuck it." Slapped that bitch down in sport mode, and away we went down the golf cart lane, doing like 75 miles an hour. And he's chucking full beers at grown men. Heads up, 4! You just hollered shit out. Like, and
I figured they wanted a beer, you know?
I'm hugging these curves, wop, wop, hanging off it, throwing. People are jumping out of the way. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. We had a good time.
Sorry, Deb.
I don't think that I would complain if I'm on a golf course and I see a Chevy Malibu driving down going 70, and I get a beer chucked at me. I don't know that I'm going to complain. I think I'm going to pick it up and be like, "Well, that was an odd event."
Yeah, because you're a patriot.
And then just continue about
You're a
what
red-blooded
you're doing,
American.
and just
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. So
So, anyways, wedge or the 9-iron?
yeah. Goodness. We've explained that you're Doc, but for everyone that doesn't really know, how about you explain, I guess, a little bit about what that meant, what that was for you, and
So,
how important it is, I guess. Like for us, it's a big thing to call somebody Doc.
it's a title it's earned for sure. I spent all my time. So I was a Navy corpsman. So the Marine Corps doesn't have their own medical units, so they take Navy corpsmen and medical officers and they integrate them into the Marine Corps. So you have to go through Marine Corps schools to walk, talk, fight, be like a Marine, and you just have to kind of blend in and assimilate. So you do everything the Marines do. I got stuck. I didn't get stuck. I got the actual honor to go with the Victory unit, a line company. I was with the Grunts.
Right.
And I was a 3-9, and it's a different world, man. The Grunts, the lines, is a different world. Completely different.
Sure,
But I did everything they did. So we PT'd together, we ate together, we trained together. You know, I had the privilege of being over the years being on different teams, embedded training teams, training the Afghan National Army, doing partner patrols with them and stuff. Getting fapped out to like motor T or spent some time with EOD and route clearance and stuff. And so, you know, I've been all over the place, line companies, and you know, worked with a lot of different foreign.
So
units.
Where all do you end up?
So I did back-to-back deployments to Afghanistan. I was in Marja. I was all over Sangin Valley, Treknawa, Kajaki. Spent some time with the Brits up in Lashkar Gah for a little while. So got to work with the Jordanians, the Georgians.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, like my first pump, like I walked everywhere, but I was in a truck too, you know, doing QRF and motor T work and stuff, and you know, I got my little Surcom for everything that I did. It blew me away the amount of miles that I actually drove in a 10-month time frame with IED laced roads. It was like 13,606 miles. So, like that itself, I was like, all right, well, yeah, just that alone, you know. And I got to. There's a downside to that though. It's like when it came time for me to do my job, I was the only guy that knew how to do my job. Usually at that time, wherever we were at. So if we were in a TIC or a major firefight or something, or we hit an IED, you know, there's always that fear of secondaries. And when you push up, you know, you gotta be careful. You're praying for green smoke or a green star cluster to come out of that turret, you know, so that you can take your time getting up to them. But when you see red or you don't see anything at all, it's like it really sucks. Your mind starts wondering, like, am I gonna open that door to a bunch of, you know, dead guys or what's the, you know, what's the deal?
You don't know what you're
like. You got to get in the zone.
Into.
And so, like, you know, you cordon off and you push up to your 5s and 25s, try to get your vehicles in as close as you can so you can have crew serve support. And you just kind of get in there and start working. And, you know, a lot of times it's just like, you know, you do your mace exam, they got concussions real bad. But sometimes, you know, the gunner gets thrown out. His turret stand gets ripped out, or his harness breaks, and him and the turret go, and it lands on him. And you have to hopefully not keep getting ambushed at the time you have to set off perimeter and go try to go get him. And then getting a bird on the ground after that.
Right.
Just there's a lot that goes into it. You know, that's on a bad day, but, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's something that
just
people
many of
don't
those
necessarily think of, you know, is all the stuff that goes into everything you do.
Logistics.
I mean, there's
Oh,
just
yeah,
a
I mean,
ton
and you
to
got to,
it.
you know, you're 18, 19 years old. I turned 19 on my, I turned 20 on my first deployment. And, you know, I'm a 20-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid doing cricotiotomies and chest tubes in the dark under fire, you know, like it's a lot. I got to work out of this bag that's not always getting resupplied. So you have to pick and choose what you use, and then you have your humanitarian portion of things. I had to treat the Afghan, like, local nationals, like they'd bring their kids in
Right.
when their kids would get sick and they couldn't explain it or whatever. And then you'd have these, like the Taliban would, you know, kidnap these people's family and be like, you're going to do this. So they would throw boiling hot water on these, like, 18-month-old kids, 3-year-old kids, and they would bring them into the base to be treated. But while they're inside, they're taking account of how many paces it is from the ECP to the fuel farm, or how many paces it is from the ECP to the birthing areas. You know, they're paying attention, they're watching. And it was no coincidence that every time they would leave after I'm having to debride all the dead skin off this baby and then wrap them in Silvadine and gauze, and you're just like, hope you bring him back tomorrow so he doesn't die of infection. But 45 minutes after they left, they'd be arcing RPGs in, just walking them in, you know, or they'd open up with, like, the, you know, 80mm mortars. So,
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact that they're just terrible people, they weren't stupid. You know, they knew what they were doing. They did everything with a reason, and they were using their own little system of intelligence to figure us out. You know.
Oh, for sure. Well, they knew we have rules, and our hands are tied behind our backs, and we have to fight by a set parameters, and they don't. They pop up, do what they need to do, and they bounce out. I mean, it's the guerrilla warfare tactics. So it's how we won the country. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to be judgmental, you know.
Right.
And then we sit there and we know that they beat everyone. That's
Well, I say it all the time, man. Like, I give them props. You have to respect your enemy to a certain degree. You know,
for sure.
Their ingenuity, for one, they got no running water in most places, no electricity in most places, but they got Toyota Camrys and cell phones,
Hell
and
yeah.
they're making pressure plates out of fucking used batteries, angel hair wire, and the springs from ink pens and
Yeah,
cardboard. Like,
exactly.
you know what our big solve was to save lives from the IEDs, from the vehicle-mounted IEDs, was the mine roller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rolled out the mine roller. They spent billions and billions of dollars on these mine rollers, these almost impossible things to drive. It's like putting a 15-foot trailer on the front of your truck and driving it like you're backing it. It's but
Right.
you're going forward.
I
Everything's the
drove that
opposite
thing.
direction.
I was gonna say, I believe TJ had to
But
drive
do you-
that, right?
Yeah. So you cut,
yeah.
say it like this: they drop the mine rollers into operations on a Tuesday. By Friday, the Taliban's big fix. You know what they did? They spent $1.50 extra on 14.5 foot more of fucking angel hair copper.
Yeah, they put the
And
pressure plate in
They
front
displaced
of.
the pressure plate and the charge.
Yeah,
14
yeah,
and a half feet back. Put it right underneath the truck.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah. But I was a
I
magnet.
mean,
I got to a point where
just-
people didn't want to ride a truck with me no more.
it's just crazy to me, man. Like, people don't think about this stuff. They don't understand it. They don't see it. And then when we come back, they're trying to figure out, you know, well, it was probably pretty simple. We're so much smarter than they are, right? It's like,
Oh,
nah,
our
man.
shit's way better, or this and that. And
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, that dog don't
we
hunt.
we have nice stuff, but it doesn't really matter when all it takes is $1.50 to outsmart us, you know.
it's
And there's
cost
not
effective, man. What do
you
you
can do
think?
about it.
No. And I don't agree fully with our ROEs. You know, like, first and foremost, like, this is the Marine Corps you're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
you tied. I mean, you think about it, they tied our hands behind our back. We're
Yeah,
supposed
I'm not
to
going to
hit
pretend
hard
like I
with,
agreed
with
with any
tenacity.
of our ROEs.
You know, you had to shoot at me. I had to gain visual identification of you and the weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had to make sure that you were firing at me. Fuck all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there,
You know,
there,
like, that's
we
my personal
we
opinion.
absolutely self when it came to ROEs.
This is a war
and-
zone. Let us do what we do.
Yeah, let loose the dogs of war.
You know?
I mean, if you're going to sit there, and that was a lot of where we screwed up from the get-go anyway, is that we went into this and we didn't have a actual objective. There was no objective to what our end goal was. It was just like, go kill bad guys, but do it with the people at your heart. So,
Go-
and it's like, what?
Go
So
into combat
the-
and do
the-
atrocious things, but do it with honor and be a gentleman about it.
The
It's-
real
like, it
issue
just didn't make
was
sense,
that
you know?
we were trying to win the hearts and minds instead of putting bullets through them.
Yeah, the way
mean,
the war was, we should have gone in with small war tactics, but special forces, and use them to take out high level targets. And instead of, because we never actually dictated a reason to go in with, you know, full uniform combat. We never did that. We never
Yeah.
had an objective. We just went in and screwed the whole thing up because we were trying to take out small targets or big targets.
No, we didn't.
With-
We did.
Well, yeah, no, you know what I mean.
Somebody
The
that made more
government-
money than me.
The
screwed it
government
up.
the
Yeah.
government and a bunch of civilians sat there and said, "Hey, we want you guys to do this, but we don't want you to do it the correct way." And you know, the fact that there was no actual mission just kind of screwed us. I mean, if we're not going to sit there and
Well,
make
when you have the terminology and the lingo of things such as acceptable collateral damage, you have a left and right lateral limits, you have a minimum and a maximum casualties that you can ensue, well, plan better and then come in with the air phase and then, you know,
Right.
come in with the heavy armor phase. Like, there's no sense in not doing that.
yeah.
And
I mean, the
you
way
know,
we
that's
did
how
things was
mistakes happen.
asinine.
Like Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you would think that they would have learned from like what happened to the Marines in Haditha, and
Yeah.
Al Nasiriyah. The army was supposed to push through Haditha with armor and soften everything, so the Marine light infantry could come in and clean up house. Well, they completely re-navigated around the city
Right.
and went north of
Well, how many
Baghdad. And it was
times?
like
How many times
fuck.
did we do that overall anyway? I mean, we did
we
that
got the short end of
going.
the stick.
We did that going into Fallujah. We did it. We've just continuously done it where we sit there, we get halfway through, we're completing and successfully completing our mission, and then we've got some bigwig back in the White House or back at Pentagon sitting there going, hold on, guys, hold on. The
I'm trying to get
Taliban.
that. I'm trying to get that extra star.
Yeah, hold on. They said. Wait, hold on. Did you say I could get 50% off? Hold on, guys. Hold on. I've got to take care of this. I've got a business meeting. I can get 50% off my shed if I do this. And they're just fucking off and dicking off and doing nothing while we've got, you know, generals and we've got these guys on the ground actually trying to do the job. And they know
Well, I mean,
what's
on the
at risk.
So I mean, the plan was all right at first. When they broke everything up into Kandaks, and each AO district region was controlled by its own regiment, and there was nothing wrong with that thought process ideology. It just when you switch out every 10 to 11 months, like
Yeah. But they
the
got
next
pissed
person
on
comes in
because
and
of
starts
the
making
big wigs
different
back here.
decisions. Yeah, there's no consistency in the decision making.
There's too many
And-
political ideologies that got put into play, and there was not a general, consistent plan, and you can't do that. Which is why, from
No,
the get go,
when
there
you're
needed to be, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going in with uniformed troops. This is the mission. I don't care how it gets done. Get it done.
Yeah, it just needs to get done. Well, I mean, you know what they called that invasion into Marja, man? They called it D-Day in Afghanistan. And even
And
a
it
year
was.
after that incursion happened, it was still going on. And
Yeah, because we were
it
there
just,
the
it was a
first.
lot.
We were there for Marja, or I was the first time. I think because that was my first deployment. And then TJ, yeah, I don't think you were there. You were there at my second deployment. So, uh, but yeah, we were.
Yeah, I mean, I was. And some of those things didn't make sense to me because they would have one detachment of a company from like 2, 3, some like third Marines or first Marines, and they would just have their own patrol base in their own just area, and they're the only ones out there. And you got other, command and control elements from other battalions having to fill in for them and take them supplies and do this, that, and the other. And that's what happened out at PB Moose. They got overran.
Right.
And they surrendered PB Moose. And then we got sent out to PB Moose to escort a bunch of engineers and guys out there to break all that shit down. And that place was loaded with IEDs.
Like it
Like,
was, yeah.
They should have never gave up the house. Why would you give it? You have air superiority. Why would you give up the house?
You shouldn't.
Like that.
But,
None of that stuff ever made sense to me.
But it was a failure to plan and to execute because of political bullshit. There's, at the end of the day, the politics are the only that we come out of this as bad as we did. That's it.
And even
And
on
it sucks.
extraction, man, we lost 11 Marines, a fucking Navy corpsman, and Army. What was it, Green Beret
Yeah.
or soft sock operator, whatever? I don't remember what he was.
Yeah.
Like that's unacceptable.
And it's all because of
and the way we
piss-poor
left the
planning
interpreters and everybody.
Yeah, we just said, fuck all these people for helping
I lay the
us.
blame of that at somebody else's feet.
Yeah. I'll
You know.
blame that on fuck Biden, as somebody said before the podcast officially started.
I said I'd
Yeah,
Joe
I mean-
Biden to you. I didn't say fuck him.
You might have.
Not that I'm disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that that's not what I said.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad. But, no, so you had all this stuff go on. You went through 10 times more than what anybody normally would. So this leads us down our mental health aspect of this podcast, right? So you come back and you have to readjust and you have to deal with all this. How does this look for you? How did it start and where did it take you?
It was like driving a car on cinder blocks, you know? Like, it didn't. I came home and I was a mess. And I tried to tell somebody. I tried to go to Division Psych and talk to them about it. And they were like, oh, no, you just got it's just a little shell shock, a little, combat stress. It'll wear off. You'll be fine. You can go back. You can consume training. You don't need to, have no limitations. And I was like, all right. Well, I mean, I wasn't looking for limitations, but I was looking for you to make some sense of some stuff, these emotions that I'm having a hard time regulating, these feelings that come over, these impulses. And a good buddy of mine, Corman, Aaron Olam, he got killed and singing. And so by the time I got out there, because I had just got a DUI. I got a DUI on base at the 172 gate by the heat trainer on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I blew a .03. I had 2 beers. But I was 20. Yeah.
On base has 0 tolerance anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a Wednesday at 7 o'clock at the back gate. Come on, man. But
yep.
so I ended up leaving again. I was only home for like 53 days. So I came from Marja and then I went straight into Kajaki and all over Sangin and Sangin Valley and into Treknawa and all up and down Route Red, 60 and all that. So.
Did you ever go to Olette or Edinburgh, the Fobs?
I went to Fob Eddy. I was at Fob Eddy.
So is that the one that had the shark's tooth? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I went at night.
Oh, okay. So you weren't there very long then.
I convoyed in, and I had some resupply stuff from Shock Trauma Platoon there that just got thrown on my truck. So I was like, all right, yeah, we'll drop it off. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was out there.
They hit like a consecutive 3 or 4 days of red air, and it was fucking them off. So they were only running like medevacs.
Yep.
From their flight line. So.
Yeah, because I played Combat Lifesaver for like 3 months or whatever, but I was out there at Olette and Edinburgh.
Yeah, I forgot. You told me about that. You were with the Shock Trauma Platoon, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. They do some intense. They get good work, man. That's like, if you can't get to a major next echelon portion of care, like Camp Dwyer or Leatherneck, with Camp Bastion, like, if you go to a Shock Trauma Platoon, like, your chances to survive increase significantly.
Yeah.
From what I did on the ground. What I did on the ground was to stabilize you in the current condition where you're at for a short amount of time and to get you to your next echelon of care. So just save your life there, but the clock doesn't stop. Like, I got to get you off the ground and in the air as soon as possible.
Yep.
Because within a few hours, I mean, a lot of these like DFC, like detrimental frag charges and stuff they put in the walls and stuff, they dip these ball bearings and jacks and nails and animal feces. They pee on it. They do all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
And it causes intense infection, and you got to get them out as quick as possible so sepsis doesn't set in.
Yeah, the only thing, like, my main job was just my main job there was to pretty much like being like the corpsman's bodyguard for one, and then so he can focus on working, casualties and shit like that, and then just keeping people alive long enough to get them back to a hospital,
Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. Like, my portion of things usually always stopped, unless I had to sit on somebody for a long time. As soon as I put them on the bird, I had to get back into it. I had other Marines I had to worry about at this point. This guy's good now. He's
right.
He is in Pedro's hands, or he's in Dustoff's hands, and they're taking him wherever he needs to go. And I got to worry about this over here. And it's an experience and a half. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. But back to the mental health stuff. I struggled for a long time. I mean, and you were there. You saw a lot of it, man. You saw me.
Yeah.
Like, I fell. When I fell real hard. And, I was in and out of the psych ward and stuff, and just couldn't keep relationships lasting. They were, they didn't have any substance to them. And
Well,
It was
nothing
just, it
meant
was
anything.
tough. No, it was numb, man. I just wanted to go back. That's all I wanted to do. You know, it's that mentality, like that savagery, like that. If I can't eat it, kill it, light it on fire. Fuck it, I don't want it.
Yep.
And
So
you know,
how do you combat that?
well, I mean, I got to the point, more recently than not, that I was like, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of failing in marriages and failing in life and everything else. And I really got serious about what I wanted from myself. You know, I had an incident with my ex-wife, and I caught her, cheating on me, doing some other stuff, and I went to leave, and she jumped on the back of my truck as I was leaving and fell. She fell off the thing. If I didn't have it on video, I'd be looking at 20 years in prison because she wouldn't tell the truth.
Right.
But I had it on home surveillance, and they try to make me out to be like I was just this. Like, you throw PTSD in the mix, and you got a pretty young girl that gets hurt, it's automatically my fault. I automatically beat the fuck out of her, or I used the truck as a weapon, or I did this, that, and the other, and that wasn't even the case. And the cops got caught lying on the body cam footage. They got caught lying on the police statements. Like, my ex-wife's story changed like 5 times on paper, and then it was different from her deposition. And like, they just kept coming at me. Like, I was this target, this stigma around PTSD. Like, I saw it again, and I was just like, I can't continue on this path. I got to do something different, because if I don't, like, my life's not going to get any better. And
Right.
I got closer to God because I did some time in jail over that till they let me out and the charges got dropped. But I mean, that helped. My spiritualism and my spirituality, that helped a little bit. But it was the steps I had to take. Like, I had to go in to mental health, and I had to start that process. And I decided to stay away from the meds this time and try to do this like traditionally with some real therapy, get down and dirty with it. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't take meds or anything, but I had tried to kill myself previously and all that, and I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to feel something different. So, not to speak, I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to be around anymore. And I reached a certain point, and I ended up calling my nurse from the Semper Fi Fund, and she was with me within 12 hours, and she just got things rolling. Like, they care about their patients. They know
That's awesome.
how significant it is to us.
So what is the Semper Fi Fund? Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, they're the Semper Fi Fund, or America's Fund. They started out right next to the Navy and Marine Corps Relief Society. They took the nursing program from the Navy and Marine Corps Relief Society.
Yep.
Because the Navy and Marine Corps Relief Society couldn't fund it anymore, so they took it on, and they take care of things for you, man. She handles all my administrative stuff or my medical stuff. Like, when the VA tried to drop me from 100 to 90 because I missed an appointment, like, she set it up through the DAV to have it appealed and pretty much stop them in their tracks before they could, damage my income, because finding a job and keeping one was super hard for me, man. I grew all these issues with authority, and my patience was real thin, and it was just bad. I wasn't in the mindset to work or do anything.
Yeah,
Just depressed all the time, anxiety, having paranoia, my hypervigilance was creeping up on me all the time, and I didn't trust anybody. I wasn't optimistic for the future or anything, and I recently went to this program called Focus Marines Foundation. I had an opportunity to go there, and it's primarily Marines and Corpsmen that are allowed to go there, but they keep a 10% slot open for other branches. You just have to apply, but it changed my life, man. They go over a lot of different things that help you to grow and to get over some of your traumas. But it's not all just like work, You're in there, you're building camaraderie, you're there with other service members, other veterans, and whose lives are in a similar position. Got a lot of good
Right.
guest speakers that come in, a lot of notable people that care, and their board of directors over there is a phenomenal and a stacked group. You got guys that worked at Boeing before it was called Boeing, some higher end guys that care about what happens to these Marines, and it's exceptional.
So it's the Focus Marines Foundation, right?
Yeah.
So how do you apply to that? So if we have Marines or Corpsmen or any other service members that would like to try to apply, how would they go about doing so?
Let's see. I think I have I mean, I can give you the contact information for the program coordinator,
Yeah.
and you can post it or whatever, and they can email her, and
Okay. Did you get
she'll
that through
direct them.
your the nurse from the Simplify Fund?
Yeah, so she had actually attended it as well. Semper Fi Fund has a nurse
Okay.
staffed there. So they have a class, they have a week-long class, seminar, whatever. You go out on this ranch in Missouri from a Saturday to a Saturday, and without giving too much away of the process, but they do have a Semper Fi Fund nurse that's there all the time. So they meet once a quarter, and it's one of the best programs that I've ever had the ability to go to. The best, actually. All your mentors they're all Marines. All the volunteers that are there are Marines. They have people come in that cook dinner for you and stuff. They're either Marines or they're Yellow Star moms who've lost a Marine in combat or lost a child to suicide in lieu of the Marine Corps or their time in it. So they just like to give back to us. Like we're their, they care about us. They love us. So
Yeah, it's
a
pretty
good
awesome.
deal.
I talked to you quite a bit while you were there, and just seeing your reaction to the way things were going for you there really kind of opened my eyes. I was like, damn, like that actually sounds like a pretty fucking awesome program, because everything else that we have around here, like the VA and shit, like it's just that it's just fucking shit, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean,
So
they really like kind of hone in and harness that esprit de corps, for the Marine Corps, and if you weren't a Marine and you do get accepted to go there, like do your best, just like don't put it out of your mind, don't resist it, kind of like draw into it. There's a reason why Marines, like we're always faithful. There's a reason why that they are what they are,
there's a
and
reason we're
it's
cocky and assholes, and that's part of it. Like
oh,
it's the
yeah,
esprit de
but
corps and the brotherhood.
it's a it's very traditional wise. So we did colors, we did everything. It was like, kind of being back in the swing of things, and it was nice.
That's
And you're
cool.
there with the guys that were in the same AO as you, or we all fought the same war. We were either at Lejeune,
Yeah,
we were First Marines or Third Marines, or I
that's
met a lot
awesome.
of good dudes, a lot of solid pipe hitting dudes, like old grunts and stuff that, like just exceptional men and women that, and then they come back. Some of them come back and they're mentors, you know, and your mentorship doesn't stop when you leave once a quarter. Like you got to check up on they have like refocus programs and buddy checks. They check up on each other. They make sure they follow through.
That's
Like they do
awesome.
what they say they're gonna do. They do what you wish the
That's
VA would. Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we always preach here. Reach out and touch someone. You know, talk to somebody that you serve with. Talk to somebody that's been through the same shit as you. And it's hard to do because, we're all busy as fuck and you don't think about it all the time. But
Well, it
something like
helps.
that, the fact that
Yeah.
they are doing that that's a big thing, man. That's a big deal. That's awesome.
But most
It helps
importantly,
that
beat each
you have
other
a
off.
structure part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the guys he was a
Speaking of that,
graduate. He was a graduate mentor, and he's a quadruple amp. He was a 2-2
oh, so you
squad
had
leader. He was a squad leader with 2-2, and he and I got pretty close. And I just asked him. I said, "Hey man, do you ever, like when was the last time?" And he was like, "It's been like 12 fucking years, doc." Like, I go, "Well, I commit to once a year, meeting up with you and helping you out. It's the least I can do. Thank you for your service."
that
you
right
know,
there. Ladies and gentlemen,
it's
we are
this.
talking to a true American hero right now. You're hearing it here.
You heard it here first.
And one of the coolest things that you
Oh,
see is
Lordy.
like, especially, I won't say his name, but he was a squad leader with 2-2. He was a pipe hitter, man. He was a grunt. He's a Marine, and that dude has done some shit to humans. But he has gotten out and he's embraced his trauma, and he became this other guy became a yoga instructor, like the Himalayan Institute. Like he believes in what he's doing. He's repurposed himself, and now he comes there and he teaches the yoga to the vets. And it's all round robin thing, man. You do stuff with horses. You do have your rec time. You do other stuff, but a lot of it's classroom time. And you have a stacked group of mentors and people who really want to be there. They believe in what they're doing.
It's fucking awesome.
And they embrace. When I say we embrace tradition and culture, you've got Navajo Marines, that are there as mentors. The Marine Corps sends their reservist disc guys, the Wounded Warrior guys, advisors to that class. You know, you get financial stuff, you get networking things, and a lot of good guest speakers and people coming in that really impact and make a difference. And they do all this stuff for free because they care about us. They are the light in the world. They are the good people that you hear about, but you just can't ever find because there's so few of them. But they all
Right.
they come there. It's great, and everybody cares about what they're doing there. It's a real purpose.
So how did you get there? Did they fly you out there? Did you
Yep.
they paid for your?
They paid for my flight. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Because they have a vetting process. They do have a vetting process. You do have to meet certain criteria
Right.
to go. But don't be afraid to apply. Don't ever be afraid to apply. Like my class that I went with was a small class. There's only 16 of us. There's usually like 30 or 40. So, there's definitely spots open. My end goal is to eventually return there as a mentor sooner than later. I really believe in what they do there, and I feel like that we have an obligation if we have a handle on our stuff to come back and then help each other.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's awesome, man.
Everybody leans, like if you're a Marine, you always lean on Doc, and it's only fitting that I go back and give back and continue to do what I can. And you never stop being Doc. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Well, my shit didn't quit either. So
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic that you have that dedication to it. And you
Look,
wanna
man,
keep giving.
there's a lot of corpsmen that give me shit for this, and there's a lot of guys that do understand it too. And it's this, I joined the Navy because the Marine Corps told me no, but I still ended up with Marine units. Like I did all this same shit, and I'm glad I became a corpsman because I got to do it on a broad spectrum. I didn't get stuck in an air wing unit. I didn't get stuck with just a ground unit. I didn't get stuck with just this, that, and the other, or some shitty job. I bounced around inside the ground combat elements, 2nd Marine Division, so I got to do a little bit of everything. And I wouldn't trade that shit for anything.
It's really funny to me that you say that you tried to get in the Marine Corps, but you ended up joining the Navy, because
They wouldn't let me join because I had a GED.
I always forgot that you were in the fucking Navy and not a Marine. Because
Well, I mean, I wear
there
a
was
Marine
no
uniform every day.
yeah, and there's no difference, like, because you wore the uniform and then you went to work with Marines every day. You deployed with fucking Marines every time, like.
Yeah. I was in the same truck he was, I went condition 1 same time he did,
Yeah.
So they could say, "Oh, I'm a Marine and you're just a corpsman." Okay, well we're standing 2 feet from each other. And bullets are coming right at both of us. So you want me to jerk you off later or right now? Because I shot expert and you shot a pizza box. So get the fuck out of my face.
I don't think any Marines ever dealt with anything or been in any kind of shit would ever say that you're just a corpsman. That's not a thing.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No, like I'm like
100%
fucking
positive.
yeah, that's not a thing.
Well, you get
Like,
some that get the self-righteousness about them, and sometimes it's they're just haters, if they're unhappy with their particular job, and that's another thing about a corpsman, man. I mean, I went and got my FMF pin. I was a Fleet Marine Corps warfare specialist. I knew everything there was to know about the ground combat element of the Marine Corps. I knew more Marine Corps history than most Marines did. Like, I knew more about Marine Corps administration than most Marines did. I could break down a division all the way down to a fire team. So like that was what I learned, and it's important. It's important to the structure of everything and how things run. But
it's important to understand.
Oh, for sure. That's that assimilation process in the Marine Corps. Marines see that you have your FMF pin. You don't get second guessed. You don't get questioned. They know you know your shit. And that's the way it was.
I remember the first time, I think was it Camp Johnson that we went to, and you showed me your
Where corpsmen go to FMTB?
Yeah, that course you had to
Yeah.
go through, and I was like, Jesus Christ, all right, fucking hey, dude, like.
Oh yeah, so like when we do our little form of the Crucible, it's like we're carrying a 200-pound dummy through the swamp, like
Literally, like, under fucking
arty
water.
rounds and shit. Yeah, doing all kind of crazy shit. Like you take MCT, SOI, and a little bit of boot camp, and they just throw it all together. And I went
Yeah.
through in July at Camp Johnson, right outside of Camp Lejeune, and you know what I mean?
All that
We were out in the
stagnant
woods
ass
doing
water.
land nav. We were out in the woods doing land nav, and they were doing these little, I don't know, the Hueys and the Cobras were running from New River to doing their little patrol patterns, their mock little patrol patterns, getting their hours in, and they were seeing it was so hot. There were people passing out during land nav in the woods in Carolina. Like,
Oddly doesn't
it was
surprise
wild,
me.
man. It was so wild, and like they almost cut our field time short. Like, we're dragging classmates underneath this bridge, dipping them in the water while they're coming up with the Humvees full of these big coolers full of ice. And the burrito method where they take the sheets, dunk them in water, and then put them in the ice. Yeah, popping those sheets out, and rolling people in them, taking their clothes off. When I worked at SOI, I was a corpsman at SOI for a while, one of my last gigs. And, boy, I was handing out silver bullets left and right. And I was a senior line corpsman. I was in charge of all the other corpsmen in that company. I had to report to the company commander, and, like, it was a different world. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork. I hated that shit. But I had to be at every live fire range, every night fire range, every ordnance range, every
For those of you who don't know what a silver bullet is, it's this big silver thermometer that they shove in your ass to get your
It's
core
basically
body
a Coors,
temperature.
It's basically a Coors Light can that they shove in your butt.
Yeah, so if you pass out in a training mission or whatever, then they'll shove this thing in your ass. And I had a buddy that would pass out every single time we went out, whether it was hot, cold, in between. Like shit, he passed out.
I have a really
three or four times.
raunchy, really raunchy story that I'll tell you offline.
That was just
that
me,
happened at
actually.
SOI.
I just really enjoyed.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
the silver bullet.
and by buddy I mean like
it was just thump.
It was me.
No, this happened with a female Marine that I got asked to come over and look at. Well, I'll tell you offline. It's way too. It's way, yeah. You don't want to. Yeah, we'll have to do it when we're not recording. But good stuff though.
I got a good
but,
feeling of where this is going.
Back to the mental health stuff. I had to take it seriously. I had to put myself first. You have to be a little selfish. When all those voices and all those people in your life, and that's another thing, the people in your life, if you take account of how many times you're there for a person, but you can't count on one hand how many times that person's been there for you, deep six those motherfuckers. Get them out of your life.
Yep.
They're toxic. They're using you. They're taking what you need to supplement yourself.
Well, and it's not being selfish either.
You're not, but
You
it's
got-
not.
You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Natural selection, man. You're either going to win or you're not. You have to take care of yourself. And bottom line, you had to get a bunch of people out of your life, and then you can start working on yourself. You gotta drop some stuff out of your pack. And when you lighten the load, you'll start to understand. Like, you be a little more optimistic. You start being a little more trusting. You start seeing the world in a better light, more positive, and you just keep going on. You always got, I think veterans talk shit to themselves. Oh, I didn't do enough, or I'm not good enough, or I can't do this. This is hard, and you revert back to this person you used to be. And for a lot of us, that was 10, 12 years ago. Like, life has gone on. We blinked and it was over, and now we feel bad about it. We miss it, but we beat ourselves up so much. I think we do more damage to ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
I 100%
think with your
agree with
subconscious. You're emotionally charged when you think with your subconscious, but when you use your logical brain and you break things down for yourself, and you push past the anxiety and everything you got going on, you actually think about what the actual issue is and solution. And you take it one at a time, your life becomes drastically easier. You have to take all the trash out of it first, and that definitely helps. And I know a lot of people are they're real resistant to change, but this isn't a bad change. Stop hoarding all these crappy people and all this toxic shit in your life. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Let go of it. I'll promise you'll be lighter and you'll be happier. And then you can actually work on yourself. And for a lot of us, it's been a long time since we've grown, because we've let our traumas hold us back as like an anchor. We're not growing as people. And if I could push that out to anybody, that's what I would say. And you can not have gone to combat. You can have a different experience or not have been in the military at all. But at the same time, like, stuff from your childhood, it's like combat, all these things. Trauma's not different than any other trauma. Trauma's trauma, and it layers itself. And once you've had multiple incidences of trauma, there's no way to go through and, okay, today we're going to talk about this, and we're going to solve this problem. No, you got to start. You read a book from left to right, you got to take it as it goes, and you pluck at it that way. What are the things that are actually bothering you? What is the first thing that comes to your mind is a big issue for you. Let's work on that. Let's talk about that. Let's take care of that. And then the next one. And then the next one. You know?
Yeah, we've actually talked about that a lot.
One leg at a time.
I was gonna say
We've talked about that a lot. Where
we've tried to talk
trauma
about
is
that a
trauma.
lot.
You know.
Well, I had to get over myself after a long time because I'm sitting here thinking, you know, all the Marines that died under my charge, or was I not good enough? Did I not do enough? Like, you know, and then the people that you couldn't save, or the people you didn't get to work on, or you got to go home and this other guy didn't, and you deal with this guilt that you got to come home. Well, why do you cheapen your life? You have to hold value of yourself. You have to tell yourself, I'm deserving, I'm worthy, I deserve to have good things, I deserve to be happy, I am worth it. Like, you have to positively reinforce yourself every day. Because at the same time, as buddy checks and all this crap are real good, you can't live on that. You can't live. Mark Twain said, you know, he could live off 2 compliments a year. Well, he was not an average man. I can't. I need that reinforcement because I'm broken. You know, we need that constant reminder. But sometimes you have to just tell yourself that all the time. You have to be that voice in your head. You deserve.
What's your
you can
thought
be
process
happy.
look like for that?
So if I start getting down on myself or whatever, or start kind of backtracking in my mindset, and granted, you know, I've got some depression issues, I got some anxiety issues, I have a severe case of adult ADHD, and so a lot of those things, like those neuro deficits, those neurodivergent issues, and you know, not to mention all the programming from our childhood, from our adolescent years, and the Marine Corps, and then all this false rhetoric of social etiquette, you know, so to speak. They play a big part in how you view yourself, how you view the world, and then externally how the world views you. And you either care or you don't. You get this split thinking, this black and white thinking about life, where it's either far left or it's far right. It either is or it isn't. You either love me or you don't. I either have to like you or hate you. And there leaves no room for gray area, and we're human beings. You know, that's just not how it works. And we forget that. So my thought process on it is I try to keep it fairly simple, because I try to keep myself fairly simple, because that's the only way I can grab a hold of all of it at one time. If I just keep it as small as possible, it's this, you know. I positively reinforce myself. If I feel like I'm getting into a place and I need accountability for my thoughts, I will call somebody that I know will take the time, and it'll be one of my Marines from Focus, because we had committed ourselves before we left that anytime anybody calls, we stop what the hell we're doing, short of flying an airplane or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like holding something fragile, and you pick that phone up, no matter what it is. You make sure that Marine's okay first, or that Corpsman's okay first. That's
Which is just fantastic. I mean,
that takes precedence over everything, and we all committed to do that, and we do that. And it has come out for us in the long run. So if I get in that place, you know, I'm gonna have enough respect for myself to say I can't handle this problem alone, and then I call somebody, you know, and you can't trick yourself into saying, "Oh, I'm a burden. I don't want to bother him with my petty shit."
right.
Well, it's not petty to you; it's subjective to you. So, you know, what weighs more, a pound of lead or a pound of feathers?
Both
It's
pounds.
the same thing. It's
Doesn't
just
matter.
different. It's different for you. It's subjective to you. It is significant to you alone because you're different.
Right.
And, you know, I answer the phone no matter how big or small the issue is. Sometimes the
that's,
issues are bigger than me, and I'll call a mentor, or I'll call the program coordinator, and I'll say, hey, this is what we got. You need to set them up with somebody. You need to have somebody go to their house. Because before we do a police welfare check, we're going to send one of our own people there to check on them first, because we know, unfortunately, what happens when you've got a altered mental state veteran, especially a combat veteran, and you send the freaking police to their house.
Yep.
Right.
It doesn't ever end well for us. And I'm not knocking cops. There's a lot of good cops out there, but there's also a lot of them that want to hurt somebody.
They want the
I feel like
confrontation,
they've got something they have to prove, or they have to check the next box off. You know, one of the best cops I've ever met in my life, he told me, he said, the greatest feeling in the world is coming home and not having fired your weapon. You know,
yeah.
like
That's a good point.
Should be.
not having arrested anybody, but you know, not having had to do something that just dicks somebody's day up or that I have to carry with me.
Right.
We know about carrying shit. They're no different. When they go and seek that, that's another thing. I've been, dude. When I get pulled over, I pull at least 3 cars, at least.
This is actually a
If it's-
great time to step in, like you said, and it's something that we try to emphasize on the podcast. If you guys need anything, reach out to us. I've said it on the podcast before, and I'll say it again. If you guys need to get a hold of me, my number's 308-530-2410. Text me, give me a shout. We're here to look out for each other, and that's something that needs to be done more often. So, like fucking Doc said, we sit here, we got to take care of each other, and self-care isn't always just trying to fucking take care of yourself by yourself. A lot of the times it's reaching out to people that are going to care and listen.
Yeah, I mean, you already know what your issue is. You already know how you feel, but you can't get away from yourself. You can't get out of your own freaking way. Process or make sense. That's why when I said what I said about stop thinking with this emotionally charged subconscious, use your logical brain. If you know you struggle with issues of paranoia or anxiety, do not chase them rabbits. Don't chase them rabbits down them holes where it's like, this person is this, or these people think this way about me, or you're missing so much perspective and context that you don't really fully understand. Get in your logical mind, look at it this way. Fact meaning, here's the problem, here's how I got here, now what are my solutions on getting out? I don't know the answer to this. All right, I'm going to seek help. I'm going to use my resources.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the VA is just not a good one.
Right.
If you want to get some blood work done, if you want to go get an image done, you want to do this, that's fine. I had to make the personal choice to leave the VA mental health house of things, and I got medically retired, so I have TRICARE still, and I'm still going to have to pay out of pocket to go private, but that's what I need. I need someone that's not going to leave, a therapist that's I'm not going to get 8 sessions in, and then they're going to be like, oh, I'm moving, or they're moving. I graduated college, and now I'm leaving you.
Right.
So you have to start over with somebody else. I've done that 8 times, man.
Yeah,
See, that's
I was
what.
like
That's actually why we started this podcast and why we have our Facebook page and everything, is for people that don't have an avenue of approach to even begin to start. Like that way they know where to go with their issues or how to get help. That's our whole purpose here, really, and it's not just for veterans or military members, like we've said before. Like, yeah, it's what we know. It's who we are, and obviously, like fire, EMS, police, nurses,
Sure. I mean,
doctors, people that have to deal with that on the daily. But we still do
death,
it like just
trauma, bad
regular.
shit, yeah.
Well, just regular civilian people too, because like you said earlier, trauma is trauma. It doesn't really.
Yeah.
You don't have to have been in combat or have done these things like childhood trauma, or we've mentioned before on the podcast, like car wrecks is a good example.
PTSD is not exclusive to combat.
Yeah.
No.
Or PTS, or whatever they're calling it now. I mean, either way, anytime something traumatic happens to you, you are post that traumatic,
Experience.
incident, and you have to try to navigate how you really feel about it. And sometimes that is the hardest thing to do. How do I really feel about it?
Yeah.
Because
and
you set all these walls up, this guarding. You don't want to admit that or accept that this is an issue, or that you're changed, or that you're different now, and that's hard. And I'll be the first one to tell you, and a lot of Marine grunts, and I can't speak for anybody else, but a lot of infantrymen, 0311s have shared this same experience with me when I bring it up, and it's that there are certain attributes to PTSD and hypervigilance that I don't want to let go of.
Yeah,
I've
no,
actually said
yeah.
that too.
They keep me on edge.
Yeah.
They make me different than you. I'm not the average man, but that's what makes me not. That's I feel like that's your superpower. That's your
I've said
ability
that too,
to
and
see
I get-
and do. But how much time do you spend with your back to the corner watching all the exits and nothing ever happening? How much of your life do you spend being fucking miserable because you have to fucking worry about every noise that you hear? You can't enjoy yourself. You can't drink and still have a good fucking time. It's always got to be this fucking pity party at the end of it, or what have you. You don't enjoy your life, and you can't control that.
Yeah, I just
You
have to
know, one
laugh
of the
that you
guest
said
speakers
that
that
because
came-
I've been huge on
Yeah.
that, man.
But at the same time, I'll be the first one to admit that, like, you know, none of my fucking neighbors can transition from a rifle to a pistol and fucking speed reload.
Well, and there
You know?
again comes back to this show and what it is. We're forever broken, right? We want to be never broken, and we want to let people know that you aren't ever really broken. But what we're doing with the forever broken thing is we're just embracing the have shit because of the shit we've done that make us unique and make us different and make us ourselves. So as opposed to backing away from people calling us broken, let's just take it on. Let's take the bull by
Well,
the horns
that's a
and
label.
let's embrace
Yeah.
that shit. You know what? Like it's a fucking stupid label, and let's just fucking own it. Like who gives a shit?
So I had the pleasure. I'm glad you said that because I had the pleasure of meeting, sitting down with, and hearing the story of one of the last surviving members of the Battle of Chosin Reservoir.
That's crazy.
That's
And
badass.
Frozen Chosen, and you're talking a battle where there was 5,000, 6,000 Marines that went up against 120,000 communist Chinese troops. And they killed 60,000 of them in negative 40-degree weather. They didn't have the proper gear. They ran out of ammunition. You want to talk about overcoming the odds? I mean, he's telling me the stories that corpsmen are throwing bodies, frozen bodies of these Marines in by the truckload.
They didn't
Like-
have the proper warming layers. Like
No.
they weren't even.
They were starving to death as well because their sea rations froze.
Yeah, they didn't have the proper anything.
They flew over and dropped them Tootsie Rolls. That was actually the code word for they needed more ammo, so they got the radio. It was a clear 9. They got the radio up, and they sent out that message. And the Army, in all its wisdom, thought they actually meant Tootsie Rolls and dropped them Tootsie Rolls.
That's fantastic.
And when I got to meet,
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
When I got to meet this Marine, one of the first things he handed me was a Tootsie Roll.
That's fucking awesome.
One of these Tootsie Rolls with the American flag on them. And he was like, we weren't mad. He said, we weren't, at first we were pissed. He goes, and then we were like, oh, we're hungry. And if I hold this close enough to my body, it's chocolate. It won't freeze. I can keep it at least, rock hard. Not
That's
fucking like I'm trying to
fantastic,
tear
yeah.
up a piece of steel piping.
Yeah,
So,
it's fucking funny, bro.
but one of the most profound things he told me, he said, I came home and I knew there was something wrong with me. And I sat at the VA and I talked to these doctors, and I talked to these doctors, and I talked to these doctors. And he said one psychologist got real with me, and he laid it out for me. And he goes, man, there's no cure for this, what you have, and you're gonna have it forever. The best thing you can do for yourself is to find something to do. Keep busy, keep talking to people, keep working on yourself. That's all you can do. Find something to do. And just like it says in the Bible, if you ever have a question about what you should do next or where to go, look for the helpers. And we're all servants at one point in time. We all, provided something either for the Marine Corps, for the world, or for whatever country we were in at the time. And
we're all servants, period.
We're all purposely driven in that faction. TJ, that's why you went and continued your service. That's why you went and worked for the government. We all need that structure, and we strive for that purpose. We're Marines, we're soldiers, we're this mindset of we need a mission. And if you don't have one, you're it's like, you've heard numerous people say, Steve Harvey, Denzel Washington, hey, when you're doing something, when the devil leaves you alone because you're doing something wrong. Like figure out what it is that you want to do and how you're going to make your impact, what your next mission's going to be. Find your purpose. But don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to take too much on at one time. Don't try to do too much because you're going to find yourself right back to where you were or even further back. Don't get overwhelmed. Take it one thing at a time. Take it a day at a time. I watched a podcast the other day, and the guy was saying the importance of just saying, I'm going to give it one more day. I'm not going to quit on my business. I'm going to give it one more day. I'm not going to kill myself. I'll give it one more day. I'm going to give it one more day. And you continue to give it one more day, and you continue to give it one more day, and you continue to give it one more day. You keep pushing out one more day. one more rep, one more push-up, whatever the fuck it is. Motivate yourself. Hold yourself in enough high esteem, and like I said, you got to tell yourself you deserve this. I'm worthy of it. But nothing good in life will come easy to you. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. And that applies exponentially for us in the civilian world, because we're living in a society that we don't agree with, we don't understand, and we feel ostracized in every fucking day.
And they don't understand us as well.
But that's not for you to worry about. Like, you just still got to pick up your pack and fucking keep going.
Yep.
The fact that they don't understand you it sucks that they.
Yeah, that's their problem.
I went and did this shit on your behalf, but I'll be the first one to tell you. People are all, thank you for your service. And in my mind, I'm thinking, do you think when I was over there, I was worried about little Susie and everybody else back home on the plains? Fuck no. I could give a shit less. I was worried the guy to the left of me, and the guy to the right of me. Democracy was out the window. I didn't care about that. I cared about my job, my Marines. And that's that. I've kept my focus. I'm a simple fucking man. I'm a heat-seeking missile, man. Put me on a target and I got it.
So I think
But
we make this a section where we have fucking Doc Medley's fucking motivational minute.
Good to go, Marines. Good to go, Marines. Yeah. So to piggyback on what Gunny
this
said.
is what we do, man.
Hey!
I think this is what we do. So every show we get just a minute of Doc Medley's fucking minutes of motivation.
I like it. I think we should implement that. So congratulations, Doc. You are now part of the show.
Jesus
You
Christ,
are
I talked myself into
permanent.
responsibility.
You are a permanent part of the show now. But no, let's get. We've hit our hour mark. We're kind of moving towards that. Let's get Doc Medley's minute of motivation real quick.
All right, well, my minute of motivation. I mean, I've already shed
You've given us like
so much
you've given us like
knowledge.
60 minutes of fucking motivation already, but let's get one more minute of motivation.
Good to go, Roger that, Marines.
Good to go, good to go.
Like I said, to piggyback on what Gunny said, no, man, it's task and purpose, guys. What you feed will live, and what you starve will die. That old, Native American fable about the two wolves. You feed one, the good wolf or the evil wolf. What you feed lives, what you starve will die. Feed yourself. Talk good about yourself. I don't give a fuck if you think you sound crazy. Like, if you're out in the garden or you're going to the mailbox, just give yourself a compliment. Or be like, you know what, I can do this, or I will do this. And you got to give yourself your daily boost. Spending good time with yourself, meditating, doing it, whatever it is, prayer, meditation. Like, come on, we're all at that age now, but we got to feed the thing inside of us. And we can't just drink on it all the time. But what I say is, keep busy, find something to do.
Right.
If work's not your thing, find a hobby. Go volunteer. Give your time. Be a servant. You enjoy it. You already know you do. Do something to better yourself and to better the world. But always go to bed with a plan to have a better tomorrow than you had than you're good today. So that's what I would say. It's just always have a plan to do something better.
Yeah,
and that's I have to remind myself of that shit sometimes. Nobody's perfect, man. Nobody is, and you're not gonna be. And don't ever think that because either if you're in a position of authority or even in a position of mentorship or sponsorship or whatever it is, that you can't. This isn't Marine Corps. This isn't the Army. This isn't. But there's the fraternization things out the window. Don't worry about going up or down. Don't worry about if this person, if you think that they might not be able to relate. Give them a chance to help you. Especially if you've done something for them, you got to lean on each other, and that's the left and right thing. It's not. It doesn't just go up. This isn't Chief. This isn't Gunny. We don't have to be behind the scenes holding everything together while nobody takes care of us. Don't ever be afraid to go to one of your juniors and be like, man, I'm just having a shitty day. That guy wants to hear from you. He wants you to connect with him. He wants to know that he's not the only guy. Because if you show him that you're a human being and that you could be vulnerable, like, people are going to start saying, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't kick my own ass so much. This is normal. This is what happens. I'm not alone.
I love that. All right, cool. That being said, that was a great minute of motivation for me. I'll kick it off here with what I've learned today, and I love what I learned from today's episode was absolutely the you know feed the good and starve the bad. I think that's a great fucking lesson to take from everything with this episode, and I love that. I mean, that's probably one of the best things I've heard in a very fucking long time. Um, so that's what I took from today's episode. TJ, I'll let you fucking take it from here, and I'll let you wrap up this whole shindig, my friend.
All right. Well, I got a couple of things. For one, and I've said this before, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what Derek and Doc have both already said. You know, if you're always looking in the dark, you're constantly looking in the dark. You're gonna find shit that lives in the dark. You know, you're gonna. That's why you got to look in the light. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be negative because if you're always negative, you're only gonna have negative repercussions from that. So you have to be positive. For another, you have to be your own cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? Like, be your own fucking cheerleader. Like, tell yourself that you're doing a fucking great job. And, you know, like, fuck, I'd like Doc was saying, even if you're in the garden, man, I fucking nailed it. I planted the shit out of those seeds. You know what I'm saying? And again, just reach out and touch somebody, text or call somebody you haven't heard from in a long time, or somebody you served with, or somebody that might be going through some shit, or somebody you haven't that you think that they're putting some weird shit on Facebook. Like it's always like dark and sad, or sad songs or whatever. Just hit them up, be like, hey man, like, you doing all right? It's little things like that that's gonna make the difference.
Yeah, and I mean, like to piggyback on what you said, somebody told me not long ago that it's okay to look back at the past, but don't get caught staring at it.
Yep.
So
That's awesome.
once you fixate on it, you're gonna be it's done. So
Yep. That's it, man.
That us up on social medias. Hit us up with what you guys want to hear more from. Uh, what we doing?
yeah, don't be afraid to hit me
surveys.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, hit up Doc.
So yeah, I'm good for a lot of things. Call me whenever, but don't call me late for dinner. And always remember, wear your seatbelt, drink your milk, don't run with scissors.
Unless you want to.
Let them know. Lima 3-3 is gonna be here till about 4 o'clock. So if they want to come play, they can go get some.
Hell yeah. It's fucking great. That being said, thanks for tuning in this week, guys. Please hit us up. Go to the Facebook page. If you're not a part of it yet, we are NeverBroken Society of Misfits on Facebook. We'll post stuff on there, get your input. Or leave us a 5-star review or 1-star review, whatever, and just leave us your input and tell us what we can work on. And we'll keep working on it. And that's what we're here for. Take your input and build off what you guys want. So I much appreciate you guys and love you guys, and we'll talk to you here next time.